Welcome to my second round of the Autumn Open Championship. In the last round, I played against a 10-year-old boy, and I beat him. And in this round, I'm playing against that boy's dad. So, interesting dynamic going on here. My opponent starts off with the move d4, and I play knight f6. Here, we go into a Banco Gambit, play some normal theory, and then my opponent plays bishop to c4. And bishop to c4, I don't think I'd ever seen before. And I wasn't really sure what the point of it is. So I just play queen to a5, which is the normal move in the Banco Gambit. If my opponent were to play knight f3, which is the main move, this is what I would play. My opponent plays bishop to d2, and then I take this pawn on a6. This is the best point to take it back. If he were to just take back with the bishop, then I would play queen takes, and I would prevent my opponent from castling for now. But my opponent plays queen to e2, and here I play this interesting move, queen to b4. And what this move does is it puts pressure on this b2 pawn, on this bishop, and on this pawn here. But I didn't really think about the fact that my opponent can just play bishop takes, and then play rook b1, and everything's defended, and it's totally fine. So what I should have played is bishop takes first, queen takes back, and now queen to b4. And this is just better because now I'm putting pressure with tempo, and I'm going to win one of the pawns. Or if trades, it's going to be something like this, where my position's just very dominant, my pieces are really, really good, and his pieces are kind of undeveloped and bad, and I'm going to win these pawns back. But anyway, I played queen b4, he traded, and I played d6, and the point of this is to prevent e5 from being played, because in the Banco Gambit, if white gets to play e5, then the knight is forced back to one of these squares, and it's really not very good. Black gets kind of passive. So I played d6. My opponent plays knight f3. I played rook f to b8. Just developing my rook, get it staring down the half-open b file. My opponent plays a4. And when they played a4, I really thought, this move just can't be good. Because it's giving up these squares, it's taking space, but it's not really doing anything beneficial for white. And so my first thought was c4, with the ideas of knight here and knight here, getting this really nice outpost on d3. Because knights really should be on the 6th rank, or the 3rd rank. They're just cutting into all of these good squares here. But what I didn't think about was every time a pawn moves, what spaces does it leave undefended? It relinquishes the defense of squares. So here my opponent plays knight d4, taking advantage of this relinquished d4 square. And this knight d4 move is actually really, really annoying because it's threatening to go to c6, which is a very good outpost, and also would be forking my rook on b8 and my queen on b4. So here I thought for a little bit, and I played queen to c5. The computer really does not like this move, because white just plays knight to c6 anyway, rook here, and my opponent and I both just looked at bishop here, and the queen is trapped. The computer says that this is like somewhat okay, because of this crazy line, knight takes d5, bishop takes, knight takes, hitting the queen, knight takes e7 check, rook takes the knight, check, and here. And black has 2 pieces for the queen, but also a lot of activity. So for now, the pieces are well coordinated, and there's something happening here. So it's only like plus 1.1. But this is ridiculous. I mean, there's no point to just have 2 pieces for a queen. That would be totally insane. But anyway, my opponent did not play knight to c6. Instead, they played bishop to e3. And what I immediately saw was that this bishop is staring down this diagonal. So if this knight can move out of the way somewhere, then I'm going to be threatening to take this knight on d4. So I thought, where can I move the bishop that I would get the best bang for my buck? And I thought, knight takes d5. The point of this move is that white can't just move this knight away, because there's bishop takes c3, and black is winning, because this pawn on b2 is pinned. So, since they can't do that, they have to take this knight back with either the pawn or the knight. If pawn takes knight, then just bishop takes knight, bishop, and the queen takes here. And this is just slightly better for black. The queen can obviously not take on e7 because the rook would win the queen. Instead, if white takes with the knight here, which is obviously a better move, black takes back here. And this is what I saw from far away. I saw knight takes with check, the king moves over, and then the knight comes back. This just looks pretty good for black. But what I didn't see here was knight takes, check, and bishop takes. And then after the queen takes back, then there's this fork, forking the rook and the queen. And here you have to play queen to c3 check, pawn takes, rook takes, here, here, and go into this slightly worse endgame, where you're momentarily down a pawn, this pawn is backwards, this king is more active. It's just going to be white who's going to have the winning chances here. But my opponent did not see that, and instead just played knight back. And here, I thought for a little bit. I took this bishop, queen takes, and I took the queen. Currently, I'm down a pawn, but I just thought my rooks are good, this knight is going to be good, this pawn is far advanced, this has to be a good endgame for black. And I was right. I played c3, and white just should give up this pawn. They should just castle or play king e2 and let me take this pawn. But that's kind of unnatural for a human to play here. And so my opponent plays b3. And now I play knight c5, which is a really nice move. This knight really comes alive, hitting all three of these pawns. And now black is totally in the driver's seat. Plays b4. My opponent's kind of on a little bit of tilt here. Doesn't really know what to do. I take this pawn, plays b5, and I play rook a2. The point of this move is that I'm just getting onto the 7th rank, but I forgot that the king can just castle here. And I thought this knight was going to be coming into this square, and it's going to be like really, really good. I'm going to be basically winning. But I just totally forgot that white can castle, and so castles. I take this pawn, and here this move was a little bit greedy. I played rook takes f2. Because I missed this move, rook to b4. And the threat is taking this knight because it's protecting this rook. So if I were to play f5, then white would just be up a knight for 2 pawns. So I can't do that. But I found an idea that I thought was pretty nice, which is rook f4, and white thinks, okay, I can just play g3, and the rook has no squares to move to. All these are defended by white, and so I should be winning either the rook or the knight. But instead, I played a brilliant move here. I played knight takes g3, sacrificing the knight. And this can't be taken because it's a discovered attack. Now the rooks are staring at each other. And on rook takes back, there's this knight move, knight to e2 check. and I'm going to win one of these rooks back. I even get the choice. So I take this rook, I take the pawn, he takes my pawn, and, I mean, this endgame, I'm just up 3 pawns. He plays here, and we trade knights, and then he resigns, because he's down 3 pawns in a rook endgame, and I'm going to win. So, that was my second round. I played pretty well, except I had a couple tactical misses when there was a lot of trouble on me, but he missed them too, and so I got a pretty nice win there. I really liked that move, knight takes g3. It's always nice to get a brilliant move in a game. So, overall, I'm pretty happy with that game, and I'll see you back in round 3, where I play against one of the highest rated opponents in the section. See you next time. Peace.